So welcome back to the Bioas Symbiotic podcast. This is the first podcast in our cosmeceutical series, very anticipated. Well, I'm joined today by Lynette Rouse, who's our CMO and Head of Personal Care. Welcome, Lynette.
Thanks, Ian. It's great to be with you today and with everyone.
Lynette, we've been spending a lot of time going through the gut microbiome. And what we now wanted to start understanding was actually having a look at our skin microbiome. And we really want to start understanding why the skin microbiome is so important to our health and well-being.
Okay, so just look at the skin. Look, it's the largest organ in the human body. And it's actually the most visible organ in the human body. It makes us aware of our aging every minute. So when it comes to the skin microbiome, that can be considered as an ecosystem because it consists of a very complex community of microorganisms, and they interact with each other and with their own environment. And then when we look at the skin microbiome, that can be further subdivided into different niches or microenvironments, each with its own distinct microbial community. So what am I talking about there? For example, what we know is so common is this T-zone area on the face. That has a different microbiome community compared to the dry area, the same as the beneath your arm and under your foot, different microbial community. So the variations in microbial community across the skin create a complex and dynamic ecosystem, and that plays a very important role in skin health and disease. Now, we've been starting to understand the skin microbiome as an ecosystem more and more, and that's led to the development of new skincare products and treatments that aim to promote a healthy and balanced microbial community on the skin.
Balance. I'm going to stop you there. We talk a lot at Bioas about balance and actually how what we're trying to do is restoring balance to our biome. So what I wanted to really focus on here, though, is around our skin microbiome and how bringing balance to that is important.
Yeah, so one key word to remember here is equilibrium. So equilibrium refers to a state of balance or homeostasis, okay? So where the skin's various functions, such as barrier function, and you have to remember, the skin has multiple barriers, and that's for our protection, because if we didn't have some of these barriers, for example, water would be able to just float straight through us. So those barriers, chemical barriers, there's a number of them anyway, they're very important. So the skin, where these various functions are happening, such as the skin barrier function, hydration and immune response, the skin microbiota helps that to work optimally. Skin microbiota also plays a very crucial role in maintaining the state of balance. It's involved in several processes that contribute to the skin equilibrium. So, for example, it helps to maintain skin barrier function, as I've just spoken about. How does it do that? Well, it does that through the production, and this is just one example, but it does that through the production of lipids such as ceramides. What do ceramides do? Ceramides are essential for maintaining the skin's moisture barrier function and for preventing water loss from the skin. What else does the microbiota do? Well, it works to prevent overgrowth of pathogenic microorganisms that can compromise the skin barrier function and lead to inflammation. It also helps to modulate the immune response. So, it prevents excessive inflammation. And also it pretty much maintains immune homeostasis in the skin. So when we look at the skin microbiota, a balanced skin microbiota, Ian, also helps to prevent skin infections and promotes wound healing.
So balance is one word we use a lot. Another one, probably leading the witness here slightly, is dysbiosis. So that the imbalance. And we know that that's very important when we start talking about our gut biome, but a couple of questions here. How important is that when it comes to our skin microbiome and dysbiosis there? And I'd like to understand what are some of the causes of potentially skin dysbiosis. And for a simple layman, like, is it topical? Is it internal? And how do those factors actually help affect the skin?
Yeah, so you're right. An imbalance in skin microbiota is dysbiosis. And that can lead to the development of various skin disorders such as acne, atopic dermatitis, eczema, psoriasis. So therefore we really have to maintain a healthy skin microbiota, and it's very important. It's a very important part or aspect of our skin care. So when we look at skin dysbiosis, what we're looking at a disruption in the composition of the microbial community, so certain species in that microbial community. And how is this caused? This can be caused by a number of factors. So, for example, our environments can cause this. So if I can, like years ago, we used to plant our own gardens and grow our own veggies, and we were in nature more. Well, that's not happening so much today. So our microbial community on our bodies is affected by that. The other things that can affect it are harsh chemicals. Chemicals on our skin through different products, chemicals from clothing, sanitizers, for example, can disrupt the bacteria ecosystem. Environmental pollution, temperature, UV radiation, and then, we come down to lifestyle, which is diet, exercise, drugs, smoking, medications. And when we look at, high stress levels, that high cortisol levels affect the whole body, including your gut health. And then, it also impacts on your skin.
So there's a massive amount of factors there that can cause dysbiosis. So, how do we rectify that?
I think what we first have to recognise is what happens to the skin because of dysbiosis. So I've given you the causes, but what does that lead to? Well, it leads to inflammation, and we all know that inflammation is the leading cause of ageing. So it leads to premature ageing, it can lead to vascular issues, it can elevate histamine, it can have an impact on pigmentation, so we end up with hyperpigmentation. It can degrade collagen. It can degrade elastin. So what does that result on the skin? It results in spots, it results in wrinkles, it results in lines. And then there's other things that it can contribute to the symptoms of rosacea, acne, and, lead, as I said before, to atopic dermatitis and eczema and psoriasis. So how do we combat some of these issues on the skin? It may be necessary to address the underlying causes of dysbiosis. For example, the type of hygiene products you're using, i.e. harsh soaps or other personal care products. You may have to switch to using a topical product that's more microbiome friendly. Skincare products or making dietary and lifestyle changes. Yeah, those are some of the ways you can help rectify dysbiosis. And then when we look at the gut, that's topically on the skin. Then we have to look at the gut. So the gut and the skin have a bidirectional communication system, and that's known as the skin-gut axis. And this is mediated partly by the microbiota. So when it comes to the gut, microbes in the gut and skin can produce metabolites that can influence the growth and function of other microbes in both sides.
So you've told us there's a silver lining there, which is very, very good news for me. But what sort of technology or ingredients can actually help restore that balance, resolve dysbiosis, and then actually lead to those health benefits that you were discussing there?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Ian. So depending on the clinical diagnosis, whether it's a chronic condition, that may have to have conventional interventions. That have been, and actually some of those conventional interventions have been used for a very long time to assist rebalancing the skin microbiota. However, there is new research to support the use of ingredients and creams and lotions that can assist to restore the skin equilibrium, such as herbal extracts, prebiotics, probiotics, postbiotics, and the latest ingredient on the horizon are symbiotics.
Great. Thanks very much, Lynette. What we're going to do is we're going to pause there and we're going to come back for the second podcast, and we're really going to focus and drill into those ingredients that we've just been discussing there.
Thanks, Ian. Great to be here.
See you next time.